So we are moving on with our episode on what question solving. Okay. So today we have a mesh question presented to us. The question states that we should find the loop current within the system, right? And then we have the general formula or the general method in solving it, which is the general mesh method. And then also we have the short method, and I've explained all this in what the series in what explaining the mesh, the node voltage, and all that. So in this series, I'm going to explain it using the shortcut in solving it, okay, so that we can finish fast. Now the rules go by you summing all the resistances within the loop. So we have 9 in the loop, we have 3 in the loop, and 4 in the loop. If you sum all, you're going to get 16, right? So that will give us 16 watts. Then you multiply by the loop current. In this case, the loop is what? Loop 1, so I1. After that, you look at the resistance that is forming in that loop and forming with another loop. Realize that this resistance is forming in this loop. This is also forming in this loop and forming with this loop too as well. So we just subtract it. So that will give us minus what? 9. And multiply by the other loop it is forming with, I2. Okay. Now realize that this is also forming with this loop and forming with that loop. So we subtract 2 as well. So that will give us 3 what? I3. And that will be equal to the voltage source. So we move. There's no voltage here. And then from here, from negative to where? Positive. So that will give us what? A positive voltage source. Okay, that will be our equation what? 1. Now let's move on to our next equation. So we go to loop number 2. The rule states that we should sum all the resistances within the loop. So that will give us 9 plus what? 0. So we'll get what? 9I2. Okay. 9. Then we multiply by the loop what? Current. You look at the resistance that is forming in that loop and forming with another loop. Of course, 9 is forming with this loop and forming with this loop. So we just subtract it. So we have what? Minus what? 9 what? I1. Okay. So we have subtracted it from the same. Now we look at it, there is no what? I3, right? So we can have 0 what? I3. And that will be equal to the voltage source. So from negative to where? Positive. That will give us 14. So 14. And then from negative to positive, that will give us positive. So 9 plus 14. And that will give us a resulting value of what? 23. And that's actually our equation 2. Now let's move on to the last loop, right? So the rule states that we should sum all the resistances within the loop. Okay, so that will give us 3 plus 2, and that will give us 5. 5I3, and multiply by what? Each loop current. I'm doing it so that it will be in order. Okay. Sorry. So we have 5I3. And then now you look at what? So we are done. You look at the resistance that is forming with a loop and forming with another loop. Okay. So realize that 3 is forming with this loop and forming with another loop. So we subtract it. So that will give us what? Minus